rage, stay in your lane, turn the page, but something woke up deep inside, a stronger voice, a wilder ride. I've paid my dues, I know my worth, I've fallen down, I've had rebirth. Now I'm standing in my truth, not chasing time, I'm choosing me. I've got wisdom in my bones, fire in my soul. This isn't the ending, this is the moment I take control. Life gets better after 40, clearer vision, brighter glow. I'm not fading, I'm ascending. This is the best I've ever known. Stronger, bolder, unapologetic. I'm just getting started, don't you see? 40's forward, this is my time. The future's finally looking like me.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of 40s Forward. You guys are going to be in for a treat as we talk about women's empowerment. I have Pearl Mashour, and she is a master women's empowerment coach, educator, mother of 3, and the host of the Breakthrough Podcast, Female Fluence. She's passionate about helping women reclaim their confidence, rediscover their voice, and live unapologetically, which is what I'm all about. Her work inspires women to shed limiting narratives and embrace their authentic essence, proving that it's never too late to rise. Pearl has authored 2 published articles in Simply Women magazine and has been featured in Global Woman magazine. She's also, and I'm fascinated with this one, the author of the children's book, Just As I Am, 2 Worlds, One Journey, a heartfelt story about identity and belonging, written alongside her daughter. And through her coaching, writing, and speaking, she amplifies a movement of women who are ready to step fully into themselves and their power. So thank you so much, Pearl, for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think this is such an important topic, especially, I'm dealing with basically my people are anybody over the age of 40. And so sometimes you start hitting 40 and 50 and plus, and you're like, all right, I don't want to start over. What should I do? I guess you come out of your 20s and you're like, all right, I'm ready for the world. And then all of a sudden 40s and 50s comes around and you're like, oh God, now what? And can I start something new? And what do I do? And, at the same time, I think a lot of us are kind of hitting that point where we're just kind of fed up and we're like, the confidence kind of just comes after years of being like, all right,
enough.
Yeah. So I was going to say, how did you kind of get to this as being your focus?
Well, to make a long story kind of short, so basically, as you mentioned, initially I was in the corporate world, and I did that because I guess my parents wanted me to. And then once I quit. It wasn't just for me, and I went into teaching. I just knew in my heart that I needed to do something where I was using my voice. It was just like a calling within me, and something self-rewarding. So I loved it. I loved children, and I taught for years. And then I had my first child. I didn't have the heart to leave her at home and go to work. I was like, it doesn't make sense. As we know, unfortunately, teachers don't make a lot of money. And for me to hire a nanny to watch my own child while I'm taking care of other kids, it just didn't make sense to me. So that was like, again, it's like that self-sacrifice that we make as women. I quit my job, and I had 3 kids back to back. So I have 2 daughters and a son, and they're like 4 years apart and 2 years apart. And so I loved it. And that's not for everyone, but I did everything. I was like the dance mom, the Girl Scout mom, the PTA mom, like anything, you name it. I was that mom, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. I have no regrets. That's one of the things I'm really happy about. However, once the kids get to a certain age, all of a sudden you're like, wait, they don't want me to be around all the time anymore. And I think that's what happened. I remember I was turning 40, really excited, had a huge party planned, got my dress, got all glamorous. And after my party, I was just exhausted. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm just recovering like from the party. But it was like a week and then another week and another week. I didn't feel like myself. And it was at that moment that I realized it kind of scared me because I noticed that my last child, my son, was like, older, and he didn't even want me to be volunteering. He was having his own life. And at that point I was like, wait, who am I if I'm not their mom? If I'm not needed by them, who am I? Because it's like all these years of self-sacrifice. I had really forgotten myself. And throughout that, like kind of feeling that sadness and heaviness, I was having, chronic pain, inflammation. I went to my doctor. They said, oh, we think you're like perimenopausal. And I was like, wait, I just turned 40. This is a joke. And then it was like, oh no, maybe you have fibromyalgia. And every doctor's ready to hand me, antidepressants. And I just was not willing. That was not going to be my story. So I refused. After a few appointments from rheumatologists, neurologists, I was like, I need to figure out what's going on. I think my body pain is from, my soul. I need to figure out the root of the problem. And I was actually right, like in my situation. And I had inflammation. I had lower back pain all the time. But once I kind of just really checked in myself and started reflecting on what was happening, things started to change. So from journaling, from going back to my hot yoga, which I loved, self-help books, and I decided to go and do a life coaching certification. So I did that. And then I was like, wait a minute. I feel like a lot of women my age, they just don't feel seen. Like they're lost, they're confused, they've forgotten their identity, and they feel guilty even talking about it because they need to be happy. They need to be, what they have. It's like they need to live. Because I felt like whenever I started talking about like, I just need more, people would be like, oh, well, aren't you grateful? Like you have a beautiful house, you have 3 healthy kids. And I felt really like shameful. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. And so that led me on a journey to get my woman empowerment certification and then start this podcast because I just think that there was a need for this safe platform for women to be able to talk and relate and connect and feel inspired that midlife is not a stopping. It's a time for us to rise, and we don't need anyone's permission. And that's what I always say. It's like, stop, waiting, just start rising. This is your time and it's now.
I totally agree with you on all those things. Although I had the other mom guilt in that I worked for so many years and then I felt really bad that I wasn't around. And then when the kids got older, I still now they don't need me, so I don't need to be around. But then I still feel guilty about, but I wasn't around when they were younger. I remember once my youngest said to me in first or second grade, why can't you stay home like the other mommies? Because I couldn't come to some book reading thing or something like that. But then you're right. Then you get to a point, especially if you have families, and I'm sure other people do it, where or maybe even the career demands come on you and you're like, wait a minute, there's something more to life, whether it's family or career. And from the outside, you look perfect, but it's like, no, there's something I need to do.
I think it's just really difficult because you're saying it's like no matter what route we take, whether we decide to be like, no, my career is important to me, I need to be a role model for my kids and I need to go out there, then you have this constant guilt. Or you even do both. You come home and it's like you put on your mom hat and then you're exhausted and you're burnt out and there's no time for you. So whatever, and then if you're like me and you decide, oh, I'm going to give everything and give up everything, all my dreams, my aspiration, and just be with my kids, all of a sudden you wake up one day, you're like, oh gosh, I'm older and I don't know who I am. I don't know what my hobbies are, what my interests are. And now my kids have their own life and soon they're all going to leave. And it's kind of a sad feeling in that way too. So it's as females, we have it's heavy. I don't know. Whatever we do, it's heavy and it's hard. And that's why we really have to have a lot of compassion for ourselves.
It's funny too. I was also just thinking, I can think of so many stories about this. I have a friend who got pregnant right in high school and she ended up marrying the man that they were together forever, but she gave up the idea of she always wanted to be a lawyer. And she gave that up and was the mom and did that forever. And then at 50, she went back to school and became a lawyer. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see more women do things like that.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't think it's ever too late to start. But I will tell you, like, personally, I'm kind of in that phase right now where I'm in my 50s and I've gone through this, like, I don't know. Like, I retired from urogynecology, pelvic reconstructive surgery, because it just wasn't fulfilling anymore. I also had an accident and couldn't do it anymore because of my neck. But then it's like starting over at 50 is like, there is this like, oh my God, maybe it's too late. So yeah, how do you have people kind of switch that idea that it's too late?
I think that's a lot why I mean, things are getting better now, but I think like social media, society, and by generations, like we've seen our mothers or grandmothers. It's like you hear that, oh, by the time you're this age, it's like it's over, or just wait until menopause, or then like you'll see your face starts changing and the wrinkles. So it's all this negative information that you're fed that you have to really challenge them. So what I really have, work with women to do is really rewire those limiting beliefs and just delete them. And all those stories that you've been told, those are not your stories. It's not too late. I mean, right now, I feel like every age is changing. It's like, 40 is a new 30. Like it's like women are more powerful. They're stronger. They're so much more athletic. It's like you see that, like they are trying to change those stories. And that's all we can do, because now we're the role models for all the other generations behind us. And I know, like, my two daughters that are 20 and 18, they're watching my every move. So whatever I can do to empower them so that they see, oh, okay, my mom, I just turned 49 and she's 49 and she's still working out and she still wants to be sexy and she still wants to have fun and she's actually a human. Then, it changes that path for them versus in my time, like I would just see my mom more like the traditional mom. Like, okay, she's just cooking dinner. She's taking care of the house. She's giving up all her needs. And the more she gives up, the better of a mom she is. Yes. The better woman she is. That's what was portrayed for us. Like you would see it in the storybooks. You would see it in the movies. She's got her apron on. She's ready to greet her husband at the door, right?
And that's hard, because then you get stuck in, and you brought this up in things before, this idea of being a good girl. And there is that guilt. Like, if I do the things that I want to do, then I'm not behaving, or I'm not being good, or like, so yeah, how do we transcend that? I know it's changing, but it's still there.
It is there. And again, I mean, that's just really like educating yourself and really looking in and seeing like what makes you happy and what is a good girl. What's a definition of a good girl? That definition is different for everyone, and it's been portrayed differently throughout the years. So do we want to live our life as just being good, or we want to be aligned? Do we want to be fulfilled? Do we want to live with our desires and our passions? It's really like changing your mindset.
And how would you say to go about like finding, like, I've done a lot of personal development, and it's all about self-love, and that's great. Like, tell me I need more self-love. Wonderful. Where do I get it? How do I do that? And how does it actually work?
Right. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, there's no like, you can't go somewhere to some spa or whatever and be like, I would like some self-love today.
Yes. I'll take 2 orders, please.
2 orders, please. With a little shot of extra boost.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. And that, I have to say, is one of the number one things that we have to work on. And it's not easy, because that's not how we're trained. Even for myself, like it just takes a lot of training. And I think it's a lot of the people around you, because they're so used to you saying yes to everything, not caring about yourself, being available, having zero boundaries, right? And so when people get used to that, whether it's your family, your parents, your husband, your kids, your friends, your work environment, then it's like you are showing them that you're worth as much as you're showing up. It's like if you don't show that respect for you, no one's going to have that respect for you in return. So the first step is really making that kind of announcement and saying, okay, like, this is what I want in my life. But the key to everything, the very, very first step that you have to do is really like look within yourself and see if you have this, like for me, I had this feeling. And I think if we all sit quietly within ourselves, we can really check in and say that check-in is so important, that reflection. Like, am I happy right now? Do I, I know there's so much noise out there with social media, with everything, like go on a walk, sit by a beach, take out your journal and really reflect and say, okay, is this what I imagine my life to be? And a lot of times it isn't, right? Because different paths take us different ways and we can't control that. But now at this point, if I had a magic wand, where would I want to see myself in 5 years? What are the things that really bring me joy? I also do like a value assessment, like check with my clients and see what important values are there for them and what hobbies and interests. Like making lists like that, really taking that, I have self-reflection quiz on my website. It takes like 2 minutes. It's free, but just something like that to do and just check in. And then it kind of wakes people up. Like, I'm not happy. Like, in my whole life assessment, am I happy in my friendships? Am I happy with my family? Am I happy with the way I take care of myself? Am I doing a good job nutrition wise, exercise wise, giving myself self-love? What was the last time I did something for me, just for me, not because I had to do it for other people? So the very first step I would say for anyone is to do this reflection, do the journaling and the inner work. And then when you see which areas are missing or all the gaps, like, gosh, I can't remember the last time I gave myself some love. I just can't remember. That's when you start working on it. I mean, there's books out there. There is so much. I mean, you can work with a coach like me, but there is so much out there but you have to, the key is awareness. First, you need to become aware and see what is it in your life that's missing. And self-love, you guys, it's not going to the spa like, every 6 months or getting a facial every 3. It's the daily things that you do for yourself, setting up that boundary and saying, no, I'm not actually going to do this and not feeling guilty about it. It's sipping your coffee and being mindful about it and in gratitude and taking your time, not rushing. Everything doesn't need to be rushed. Like, I feel like we all do that. We're always going from point A to point B. Sitting with yourself and having that quiet time and doing something that makes you, if you love to walk, make sure on a daily basis, even if it's for 5 minutes, go outside, listen to the birds, go for a walk, listen to yourself. We have to listen. That's the only way you're going to hear the messages. Because if you're so busy and you're living on autopilot, you're not going to hear the messages that your body is trying to tell you, your brain and your heart. And a lot of times, that's how we start getting pain. We either get depression, we start getting that neck pain, the back pain, all the pain that's coming in our body. Those are just messages that's telling us, okay, you need to slow down and check in and see what's happening to you.
I love that you connect that because as a physician myself, I see this all the time. And I forget to bring that up in this podcast, that there is this process called somatization, which is just the fancy term for like there's stressors and emotional things going on, but maybe your body doesn't know how to express that, verbally. So you start getting aches and pains and I've started getting tuned in more with that. Like I had a job once that was, they were horribly abusive at this hospital that I worked at. And my health started going downhill. And I was doing the same thing I did every single day, not realizing that I wasn't dealing with the fact that I had these administrators that were just terrible. And I didn't learn to say the word no. And I think that's a big thing for women. We feel bad saying no. I hear my teenage daughters doing this, and I'm trying to stop them from doing this now so that they don't end up where I was. But they're like, oh, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to, be disagreeable. They don't say disagreeable, but I think a lot of us think that we don't want to be disagreeable. but there's
I mean,
a safety and boundary.
Yes. And no is so important because, and it just takes practice. It's like this very small things, like start with really small stuff and say, no, I'm not available today. No, I can't, and sit with it and feel okay about it. But yes, to your point, I mean, there's that book that says the body keeps score, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's really your body does keep score from years and years of you just not listening. It's, and unfortunately down the line, all of a sudden you get a really bad message. And that's the biggest problem. I think most of us wait until that horrible situation where all of a sudden, we have this illness, we have some autoimmune, something, and it's like, oh, okay, that just woke me up now. Now I'm really listening.
It's funny you say that too. I remember I had a patient years ago and she had pelvic pain, and as a doctor, I didn't want to tell her, like, you need to get rid of, I mean, I did eventually. I'm like, you need to, like, quit your job or take disability or something, and finally it was one of those things where she was like, it got to the point where she had so much pain that she's like, I need time off. And I'm like, yeah, let's just put you in for some disability for a while. And miraculously, she got so much better when she left that job that she realized, you know what? It was that stress.
It was the job.
It was the job. And then I was like, okay, now you have that information. Go find another job. Like, you're not stuck. Like you can. Oh, and that's the other thing I was thinking too is I think sometimes we feel stuck. And that giving yourself the permission to change your mind or pivot, try something. And like I did this too. Like I thought, all right, I went to school, became a doctor. I need to be a doctor my whole life. And then when, things were changing and I didn't really believe in the stuff that I was doing in traditional medicine, I remember going, oh my God, well now what? Like I'm only this thing. And to realize that you can be a lot of different things and you can change your mind. You can try something for 5 years, 10 years, a year, a month, and then pick something else. So
yeah, we get stuck, and I think we get scared to change. Like that fear keeps us stuck, but we have to use that fear to grow. And every time you get outside of your comfort zone, that's where the real growth happens. So it's like, okay, I'm really like, I was scared initially to do all of this, but each time, each episode, each client, I felt myself growing, and that's so powerful. And then you start feeling more confident, and then you're like, oh, this fear is actually, it's my fuel. So that's how you have to think about it to get over that, feeling of being stuck.
And as somebody's kind of coming into this and starting this change and becoming more powerful themselves, how would you recommend them deal with the people around them? Because that's the problem. The people around them have seen them act a certain way for years, or as long as they've known them. And now that person is starting to tell them no, or starting to put boundaries. What advice do you have for that?
I mean, that's really challenging. I think your real friends, your real people around you are going to be supportive. And that's another huge thing, that you have to make sure you have a right supportive community, not toxic, friends, but the real people. And some people are going to drop off because they want to do things for themselves. And then when they see that you have the courage to do it, they see it as a reflection upon themselves. They're upset that they just can't, like they're stuck, or whatever situation they're in, they can't do it. So instead of boosting you up and giving you encouragement and support, they make the little remarks to make you, like kind of feel insecure and be like, and become doubtful. Like, wait, can I really do this? That's a reflection on them. It has nothing to do with you. You just have to continuously say that to yourself. That's their story. It has nothing to do with you. You're the only one who can control how, your inner peace, and you don't give your power away. And if people are not being nice and kind, and they will be, you have to remember that, number one, I remember when I did my program, actually through the SWAT Institute, and my teacher, Crystal, an incredible woman, she said, remember, Pearl, you are not for everyone. Yeah. And as long as you remember that, and even the people closest to you, you're going to notice, wow, they're not even like reading my article, or they're not, they've never even listened to an episode of mine because it's about them. They're just like, wait, she did this. I can't do it. So I don't even want to know about it. Right. So as long as you understand that, you create your boundaries, whatever you have, it's, people are treating you, it's a reflection on them. That's number 2. Number 3, the people who actually care, like truly care and are confident in their life and they're happy people, they are going to love and support you. Like I have and that's when you know who your real people are. That's when you decide, you're like, wow, this person just surprised me, So you'll see because everyone can be there for the, just the parties and like, oh, I'm, come over to my house, or the moment they need something from you, you rush over there and help them. But when you have a big life transition that you're going through, that's when you realize who the real people are in your life and they support you. And that's the best time to kind of weed them out. So yes. Midlife is a great time to do weeding, because you don't need a lot of friends at this age, but you need real friends. And then you need good community, like networking, like, people that they're like-minded, they understand you, they're trying to achieve the same kind of peaceful alignment and fulfillment in life. Then you make those connections, and you're not going to make it with everyone because unfortunately a lot of people are not there yet, or they might never be there. They're in this other planet, and that's okay. That has nothing to do with you.
I don't know where this idea comes from, but like, this is what I fell into. I fell into this idea that if I was friends with somebody, if I'm a good person, then I should be friends with them forever and loyal and just be there no matter what. And I'm finding I'm not the only one who's had that thought, but at the same time, what you're talking about, I've started to really look at the relationships in my life. And not like, what is this person giving to me, but is there this even like give and take? And I've started to identify the people who I'm giving to them, giving, and I'm not getting anything back. And part of the reason I've been friends with them for so long is because I didn't want to be the bad guy and break up the friendship. But I just recently kind of let one of my friendships go that's been around for a long time. And I realized, like, no joke, within a week of me letting go that friendship and me being like, okay, this is enough. This is too stressful. And it's not adding to me as a person and what I'm trying to do. I literally wrote a book that I'm actually publishing on Amazon because I realized getting rid of that, and I didn't realize how much that relationship and the energy from that was taxing me physically, mentally, and blocking my creativity. So,
first of all, congrats on the book. That's so exciting. And yes, the friendships, I talk a lot about female friendships because they're a huge part of our life. And I do feel like some of us get stuck on, well, she's an old friend. I've known her for 20 years, or she was my college roommate. Unfortunately, people change. There's a stage in your life that you're a different person, and you were different in college or back in your 20s or whatnot. So you have to reevaluate how you are now and if you have the same connection. If you don't have the same connection, and you don't have to break it off in a bad way. Like there's people in my life from the past, I care for them. I wish them the best, but we have nothing in common anymore. If I see them at an event, I'll go say hello. I'll make a quick small talk moment just to be respectful. And then that's it. And so knowing that you need to be around people that give you good energy. Like if you go and have coffee with a friend and you come home and you feel exhausted and now you can't even start your work, you feel like you need a shower, your brain is exploding. Everyone knows exactly what I'm talking. So it's like, that's the type of friend. And if you're avoiding that coffee and you keep, every time she texts you, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Let me check. I get back to you. It's time to just, let it go nicely and just, move in different directions. And that's really another way of being empowered, knowing that your time is valuable. So, and your energy is precious. So stop giving that energy to the wrong people. You want to be, if you have 3 great friends that give you energy, you don't need the other 5 extra that are just draining your energy and taking away time from your family, from your work, from yourself and your self-love.
That is perfect. And it was funny. I actually even put my foot down with one of my kids this weekend because she wanted to go off and do something with her friends. And I just said, and she needed a ride. And I said, no. And she was like, wait, why? She looked at, we have a shared family calendar so she can see what was, she's like, well, Mom, there's nothing on your calendar. Why can't you take me to this place? And I said, I've been working all week. First of all, I don't need to explain myself to you. But second of all, I've been working all week and I just don't feel like driving pretty much an hour, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes. I don't want to take an hour on my calendar to do one more thing. I'm like, you know what? You need to just plan this a little bit better, and also don't drop this on me last minute.
Yes.
So, and at first I think, she was like, well, wait.
She's like taken back, right?
What?
But you know what? You're showing her that your time is valuable, and you're showing her that you have respect for yourself. And that's modeling what she needs to know for herself with how her friends or her future children are going to treat her, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. I like that. That actually makes things even feel better than I just took an hour, gained an hour back on my life. But yeah, I like that. Oh my goodness. So, is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is really important for us to know?
I think in general, at the end, my greatest message is that it's up to us as females. No one is going to say, okay, it's time for you to start living the life that you want. Live the life of your dreams. No one is going to do that for you. So you need to be your own advocate, and you need to look in and say, okay, what am I missing in my life? What do I want more? Where is, where am I feeling sad? Where are these feelings? Really be aware of your feelings. I recently did an episode for Mother's Day with my 2 girls, and that was the biggest thing. I was like, you know what? We're going to be real. We're going to talk about feelings, emotions. It's going to be authentic. And I've gotten such great feedback. And that's one of the things we talk about. It's like, I've always tried to even, if I'm sad, I'm sad. And I tell my kids, and I'm like, you know what? Mom needs a moment. This is what I'm feeling. I've been a little bit overwhelmed. You're human. Show that to your kids. Show that, and that they learn from that. So they're not bearing all their feelings and just trying to be strong, and they're wearing an armor. It's good for them to know that and to have conversations about feelings. So again, be aware of your feelings. I forget that. What was that cartoon? I forget. It was a huge one, but all the emotions were talking to each other. The Disney one. I
know exactly what you're talking about. But there goes my menopause brain.
There goes my menopause memory too. I'm right there with you.
I can see the little colored guys.
Yes, yes. So it's like I love that cartoon, because I was like, if we could be so real and really acknowledge, I'm feeling right now, my daughter's graduating, we were talking about. I go through ups and downs. I'm feeling a little sad. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening so quickly again. It's very bittersweet. I don't want, I'm really excited for it, but I'm acknowledging, I check in, I'm like, wait, why am I feeling a little bit off today? Oh, it's because this is going on. Really acknowledge all those feelings, whether it's the, menopause feelings, transitions of life, and sit with them and just really say, this is my life. And I only have one life. What do I want from it? Do those reflections so that you can actually live that balanced, fulfilled life and see yourself. That's another thing I say. I don't know how many times women don't actually see themselves. Go look in the mirror, look in your own eyes, look in your soul, and just see, don't worry about the wrinkles or the gray hair or whatever, not any of that stuff. We look in the mirror and we do our makeup, but we don't actually see ourselves. Take the moment to see yourself so you can really see what you want from life And you're the only person that can give that gift to yourself. And it just takes baby steps with starting with a little love, little joy, and then moving forward.
That is beautiful. I love that. Oh my God, I was going to say something else, but I don't want to ruin that moment. That's such a beautiful moment. Oh my goodness. But I am going to end up saying something else. You know, the feelings I think is really important because especially anger, frustration, disappointment, because I think sometimes as women, we feel like we're being mean or bitchy when we express those things. And, you know, I have to actually give my husband credit for this one because I tend to dramatize when people get mad. And like, especially if he's gotten mad at me or like, if I've gotten mad at the kids, I feel like, oh my God, the kids are going to have like lifetime trauma because I got mad at them and they're going to like grow up and be terrible because I got mad. Or like if my husband gets mad at me, I'm like, oh my God, it must be over. And then he said to me not too long ago, and I was like, this is brilliant. He goes, I can get mad at you and still love you. He's like, just because I got mad doesn't mean that things are over or things are horrible or, you know, so he's like, I just got mad. He's like, that's it. And now I'm done being mad and it's over. And I went, I never thought about that before because I think I was socialized as a child, like good girls don't get mad. You don't get frustrated. You don't, you know, and I'm like, I have the permission to get mad and it's okay. So
it is. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's just like, you can get mad, you can get sad. Like, it's like, I'll be like, oh, wait, I'm having a moment here. Just give me a moment. Like, this is what happened today. I feel a little bit upset, and then I feel a lot better. It's like, you have to check in and then like, you know, greet them. If it's like, if you're anxious, like, okay, anxiety is here. Why is anxiety here? Let me check in. Why is anxiety visiting me? And that's why I was trying to relate to that movie because that's how it was. It was like really like, okay, anger is here. Why is anger here? And when you do that, it's amazing how fast you calm down. Because now you're like really thinking, okay, I'm angry because my daughter like raised her voice at me today and she left without saying thank you when I made her breakfast. So now I'm angry and I'm hurt. And all of a sudden, it's not that big of a deal anymore. Yeah. Like I've addressed it. I'm aware of my feelings. And then now I can let it go.
I love that. This has been wonderful. I could definitely, everybody I talk to, but I could talk to you for hours, but where can people find out more? And then you have a podcast. So if you guys want to hear a lot more of this, you guys check out Pearl's podcast. So
so my podcast is called Female Fluence. So female and then fluence, like the word influence, but instead fluence. And it's on any platform that you listen on your podcast. And then I'm very active on Instagram. You can go on my website. Website is the same thing. It's femalefluence.com. And then Instagram, my first name is Pearl. So Pearl Mashour _Female Fluence. But yes, please let me know if there's anything. And I said there is a little quiz that you can take on my website. That's a good place to start just to check in to see how you're feeling and where you are in your life.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Pearl. This has been wonderful. Everybody, make sure you go check her out. If you found that this episode was helpful, share it with a friend. Make sure you're following us, liking us, and come back for more next week of 40s Forward.
Thank you so much.
Life gets better after 40, clearer, vision brighter glow. I'm not fading, I'm ascending. This is the best I've ever known. Stronger, bolder, unapologetic. I'm just getting started, don't you see? 40s forward, this is my time. The future's finally looking like me. We got wisdom, we got fire, we got nothing left to prove. This is power, this is freedom, this is living fully you. Life gets better after 40. This is where I rise and shine. 40's forward, full of purpose. I'm stepping into my